Man, I swear, John Bernthal just loves playing cops who just fuck other dudes' wives. That's like his bread and butter, I guess. But on a real note, if you like Shane from The Walking Dead, you like John Bernthal, you will like this show. Okay? The premise to start is a murder occurs in Dahlonega, Georgia, which again, I guess he likes to film in Georgia as well, whatever. But essentially, he is the lead detective of the police force in Dahlonega, and his wife is a reporter for Atlanta who recently got back into her job and is looking to rehash her career, and they end up on opposite sides of this murder case. And it turns out, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, but just giving a overview of the plot. They're both connected to the murder in some way or another. They both know the victim, which we find out fairly fast. Anyway, just to go into their characters, you have John Berthal's character, Jack, who is, again, the lead detective in Dahlonega. The part that's unbelievable for me is that he's kind of an idiot. Like, you have to, like, suspend your disbelief of, like, how the hell did this guy become the lead detective here when he is clearly incompetent. I swear every scene we have with him, he's got a fucking banana. Like, I thought there was, like, some deeper meaning there, because it was, like, every single scene, it's like he's peeling a banana and eating it. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then we have Anna, on the other hand, getting back into it. Her mom lives in Dahlonega, and she's, like, coming back into her own, because essentially her and Jack have a kid who passed away young, very young, like 8 months old. And so she, like, lost her mind when that happened and left and bailed on her entire life, and nobody knew where she went. And so this is the first time for them to all see each other again. And so the show opens, and they're both kind of shown to be unfaithful to each other. We don't even know that they're together to start off with. It doesn't feel like it, and then they are. It's kind of like you figure it out. And the overall premise, especially early on, is that they're both pieces of shit. Both of them. They both do awful things. And obviously the whole point of the show is that you're trying to figure out who killed the girl. And, at first, you don't know. At first, you might think it's one of them two. Maybe it is. I'm not going to give that away. But the whole thing I love about the show is that you really never know who it is until the very, very, very end. And it keeps you guessing, and it really does trick you at points where you might jump to a conclusion too early or too late. And it really keeps you guessing pretty well. I would give it a, like, connection with, like, Clue, in the way that, like, if you really pay attention, you might be able to figure it out. Like, that's the cool part to me, is that I feel like if you really, really pay attention and pick up the little crumbs that are dropping for you, you might be able to figure it out early. But disclosure, whatever. Disclaimer, fuck. You probably won't figure it out. And that's the cool part, is you'll be guessing, and you'll think you're right, and then you'll think you're wrong, and you think you're right, yada yada. Something that's weird to me, yet again, going back to Jack's character, Jack as a character, John Bernthal's character, the main character, is he is so suspect the entire time. Another main character, there's not a ton. Her name is Priya. She's like his Watson. She's like his sidekick, whatever you want to call it. And she's onto him the whole time. And we're like, you almost get convinced that he is the killer. Maybe he is. Again, I'm not going to give anything away. But the amount of sus behavior that he demonstrates is so guilty that it's almost like he can't be guilty, but if he is, he's not hiding it well. And he's supposed to be this detective smart, you'd assume, and he doesn't cover his tracks ever. Every move he makes, essentially, he's connected to the person who dies, and so he's trying to cover up his connection. Not necessarily that he killed her. Again, maybe he did. But he's trying to cover up his connection so that he doesn't become a suspect. But him covering up his tracks almost just makes him more of a suspect. And Priya, his assistant, is on his ass about it, like, constantly. And there's a couple of, like, really grim moments. One of my favorite moments that he has that I think it's not really a spoiler, but it's really funny. Just in practical sense, is they have the dead girl's phone, but he can't get it on because he doesn't know the password. And he literally uses her face can like to turn it on, and I don't know that like it was at the morgue. It's crazy. Like it's like what the fuck. Like these two main characters, Anna and Jack, are fucked up. Like they do some fucked up shit, selfish shit. Anna has a mom with dementia, and she didn't know that her mom was like suffering from dementia because she's been gone for a year, and the condition has gotten worse over this time. And so while she was gone, she didn't know that this had happened. But even when she finds out, she has a moment where she's able to like get her job potentially back, because while she's been gone, some other girl came in and filled in for her job. She's like a news anchor. And this other girl took over. And the moment that the other girl had like a health problem or whatever, she immediately jumped back in and just abandoned her mom. Like these characters make fucked up decisions. Like there's one point, again, this is spoilers, but it's just kind of like going over random shit. Nothing that'll ruin the plot, because the plot is who done it, and I'm not going to tell you that, promise. But there's a point where Jack needs to like put in a DNA sample just to test if he was there or whatever connected, and he uses his sister's kid, his niece, her like saliva. It's like so fucked up. But I love how the show uses the niece as like a plot device for a lot of moments, a couple of moments early on especially, and I think they do that really, really well, and it makes it really interesting, like just the way that they utilize that character. Moving on, the show starts off with a mildly good episode. It has to say the name of the show, his and hers, in the very first couple of seconds, which I always think is kind of corny. It's like, you don't have to say the name of the show, and if you do, it doesn't have to be all impactful and shit, but whatever. Moving on from that, Priya, who I mentioned, she's like the only sensible character in the entire show. Jack, in efforts to push everybody off of his ass, potentially, which they're not even on his ass, but just to push them off, he is hammering home that this one person, not going to say their name, this one person is clearly the one who did it, clearly the one we should be looking into. And it's almost so overblown that it's like he's sacrificing actually figuring out who did it, assuming it wasn't him, for the sake of his own worry about himself. And it's just not believable. Like it so many times, and it's just like, okay, bro, we get it. Like, whatever. The biggest strength of the show, in my opinion, it's 6 episodes, so it's really short, is every single final scene of each episode is amazing. Like it's something is revealed or shown to you or happens that you didn't know, didn't expect, and changes the plot going forward for the rest of the show. And I really, really appreciated that. Like reveals are really good too. All the reveals they make are solid, and the moments feel big and they feel impactful. And by the end of the show, you really start to care about the two main characters, and see things from their point of view, even though they're both fucking cheaters who abandon each other in different ways. But I want to get into a couple of gripes that I have with the show, but I feel like they're inherently spoiler territory. So before I say that, I'm going to rank the show and just kind of give it a out of 10 like I like to do. And I would say this is a solid, like a good 8 out of 10 show. It's short and sweet. And I really think the way that it keeps you guessing and keeps you locked in, like the first episode, you think you know what's happening, you think you know what's going on, you have an idea of who the killer might be, and you're like, okay, whatever, like, not too exciting. And then as it goes on, you're like, oh, I don't know anything. I don't know who the fuck the killer is. And by the end, the payoff is amazing for a 6-episode show that doesn't waste too much of your time. It's like a 4-hour watch. Anyway, get into a couple of gripes that I have, why it's not a 10, which nothing is. There's a point where they mentioned there was cameras at the crime scene, which isn't explored until like episode 3, and I'm just like, how do we not know there was cameras there? How is that not the first thing we found out? That's one. There's another point where Priya is getting followed by somebody. Again, not going to mention everything, but I just feel like no, Priya is following somebody. And this person is a suspect, knows they are a suspect, is connected with the murder. And just the fact that they have no awareness that they're being followed is just like unbelievable to me. Like I feel like if a car was trailing me for miles, I would kind of catch on, especially if I know that like the police are on my ass. Jack has a moment where he's just completely oblivious to his sister's endangerment connection to the killer and what's going on potentially. He just goes, "Oh, you're fine," and it's just like, would a detective really believe this shit? Like, no way. There's another point later on in the show where certain characters are revealed to just be evil, like laughing maniacally at some awful shit, and it's just like almost comically evil. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like anybody's actually like there are obviously some bad people, but like there's a level to it, and I feel like this pushes it. Um, and I already mentioned this one actually, but Jack just being too unrelenting about his person that he believes did it, that he claims. It's just like, if this guy's supposed to be a lead detective and actually come up with coherent ideas and thoughts and opinions, you just think that he would be able to realize, okay, maybe I'm wrong and I need to like pursue another option, especially when Priya is constantly in his ear like, no, I have all this evidence, it's this, it's that, and he's just whatever. But yeah, His and Hers, I think it's actually a great show. Much better than I expected it to be. I was just going to watch it just to crush it and make a video about it because it's new. But it's actually really good, and I think most people will be very impressed by who the killer ends up being. And I think that that's how they keep you around, and I promise it's worth the watch. Thanks, and let me know your opinions if you do watch it.